I feel good about the purchase prices. I have great long-term tenants. Uh, the repairs, generally speaking, have been pretty minimal over the last 5 years. So, if I could go back in time and do some other things differently, not investment related, but as far as the homes go, I wouldn't do anything different.
Good, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, kind of overall, what is the story that maybe you would tell someone if they themselves were just starting to get their feet wet, starting to look at buying maybe their first investment property as far as today?
Yeah, boy. Well, I would say you need to get into real estate in any way, shape, or form if you haven't already. Certainly buy a home to live in and not pay rent to an apartment complex. You got to start building some equity of your own. But if you are fortunate enough to live in your own home and buy an additional property, I say do it.
I just kind of want to, imagine us sitting around the kitchen table, just kind of want to chat about your experience with myself as well as our team, as far as from me to the lender involved to my transaction coordinator, the escrow company, and all of that. So just want to introduce you. This is John Marble. He's been a client now for what, 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years.
Yep.
Just purchased his third property with us. It'll be coming up on a year this fall/winter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, third was in November of last year,
Yeah,
or October of last year. Then the fourth, the new development in Miami was late last year as well.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Well, I kind of wanted to start out and just ask, when you started to think about investing in real estate, um, why was it important to you to kind of dedicate the energy and obviously your time to start building that real estate portfolio for yourself?
Sure. Well, real estate's always been a passion of mine, and I always kid that if I hadn't got into the apparel business, I would have been a realtor,
There you
or a
go.
flipper. Um, I bought my first house in, was it 2010, I believe, and renovated it. Sold it 4 years later, made some money, did that again. Was fortunate enough to make some money on the second property, and I just got the bug, and I knew that real estate was a good investment. Of course, you have to buy it right and make the right upgrades and uh,
Yeah,
all of that. But I knew real estate was a good bet in terms of investing. Of course, I have my 401k, but uh, I know a lot of people that have built a tremendous amount of wealth through real estate. And in speaking with you and speaking with your father and a lot of other realtors, I felt like purchasing investment properties was really the path that I wanted to go.
okay.
And when I purchased the first home in 2017, it was a very low price, $279,000. But you found a great deal for me, and we did that three other times since then. I was fortunate enough to be able to purchase that many properties, but they've been, cranking out positive cash flow, and the equity that they built over those 5 years is just it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, it's been really exciting, and you know, hopefully business continues to go well for me. But I continue to plan to build upon this, and you've been great along the way, from putting me in contact with great lenders, and that process has been near seamless. And it's normally not a seamless process. It's very
Yeah,
invasive and time consuming, but you have a great network that I work with. And just in managing the properties, that's I'm very hands on, I think, compared to a lot of investors. But your team's super easy to work with. At Management One, they're very responsive all the time, and it's just been easy. It's been easy and good.
excellent. Well, yeah. appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I mean, you bring up the equity, especially now here in 2022, since basically 2020 moving forward. I mean, there was a little dip in scarcity with the whole, you know, the forbidden word that we're not going to say.
Mhm.
But I mean, within these past, especially these past 2 years, definitely the first two properties and even the third one that you purchased there. I mean, those have gone up tremendously.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I was actually really surprised that I was able to purchase that third house last year because prices were so high, I didn't even consider it.
right.
And, you and I had talked about it briefly, just toying with the idea. And, you found a property through your network of people. And I was shocked to be able to get such a good price
Yeah,
on that. And lo and behold, it's appreciated by at least, 120 grand in the
yeah,
last year.
I know.
So that was great.
Pretty
That was a good
insane and
find.
a good insane.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Um, I wanted to ask as well. So, how long did it actually take you to kind of take action on seriously considering investing in real estate and kind of thinking back when you first started and I don't
Mhm.
know 2015 2016 before you purchased that first investment property,
Mhm.
like you had mentioned before, talking with me as well as other agents, obviously that because you
Mhm.
have a great network as well.
Mhm.
Just curious, kind of how long from when you started to seriously consider it till we made that purchase for you in 2017. What was that kind of timeline? What did that look like?
Well, I think it goes back to, the first property that I purchased in 2010, renovated that, sold that, bought another one in 2014. Um, 3 years after that, I purchased my first property. And by then, I really had a good feeling for what it meant to, to buy a property, intelligently.
Right.
and, working with you and, you walk me through all the analytics and, all the comps and, that made it really easy too. I remember we sat down at Earth Cafe and went through,
Yeah.
you know, all the possible properties and, uh, all the numbers, cash flow, operating expenses, all of that. When you laid everything out there like that for me, and based on the history that I had prior, with just my personal residences, it was pretty quick, you
Okay.
know, um, and I didn't go into it with a lot of nervousness, really, um, because the numbers made sense. The property management company that you guys are with has a great reputation. Been in business for a long time, so it just all made sense to me. And I wasn't nervous. Yeah.
Good. Good. Glad we could help take some of the stress off.
Yes.
Um, what was maybe some of kind of your self-talk or some self-doubt or any fears that you had kind of prior to really pulling the trigger and making all this kind of happen?
Well, I think with any real estate investor, that just you always worry about vacancy. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to have very little vacancies throughout my properties. I've had a lot of long-term tenants. Uh, you know, that is always a concern, but I've also been doing okay at work, and so even if I didn't get that rent in, I'd still be able to cover it, but not indefinitely. So
Right.
that was a concern.
Okay.
But I know Management One does a lot of vetting of all their prospective tenants, and I really haven't had any major issues with any of them. So that kind of alleviated my concern once we got into the first property and um, had a consistent tenant for a while. And once I saw that, then it encouraged me to buy another one. And once I saw the positive cash flow and um, like I said, very little vacancies, I was like, why wouldn't I buy another one? So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
All right. So more so on um, me and my team, or my team and I representing you in the actual, purchase of it.
Mhm.
If you would tell me some of maybe if you had any concerns or nervousness when you first hired me to represent you in purchasing that first investment property.
Sure. Well, I had purchased a few homes prior to working with you, and I'd worked with some other, real estate agents. Uh, really, only two before, and I was a little nervous because you were pretty green, and just getting out there. Uh, but you really surprised me, and I remember even telling a few other people, I'm pretty impressed with Tyler. He was because you were in your mid 20s, you were pretty young, and
Yeah.
I was impressed how professionally you handled yourself, how knowledgeable you were about the markets, about all the analytics and the cash flow and expenses, and uh, that really gave me a good level of confidence. So, and then once you and I got through the first property, I'm like, oh, this is easy. Why wouldn't I go with Tyler again? So
Yeah.
yeah, that was an easy decision after we got through the first one, especially.
Right. The first one's always the hardest.
That's right. Yeah.
Making that jump, and then once it does happen, it's kind of hopefully smooth sailing from there.
Very smooth.
Minus,
Yeah.
minus maybe a couple hiccups here and there.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so again, kind of going back to obviously you had worked with real estate agents in the past, and we've worked together for the past 5 7 years. What was kind of, for lack of better words, the magnet or the one thing that really attracted you to hiring us at Sudman Agency
Mhm.
over those other real estate agents that you either knew or even the ones that had previously helped you purchase? What was that kind of one thing that attracted you to us?
Well, really, the one thing was that you guys were just a one-stop shop. You're real estate agents, property management. That's all in one. I mean, that made it really easy, a really easy decision for me, especially in the places that I was looking to invest. The Inland Empire in Riverside. The realtors that I had worked with didn't have any experience out there. And that's I imagine a large percentage of your business out there. So that was really it. You're very knowledgeable about the area, and you guys are just one stop shop, agency and property management. So that was easy.
Good.
That was
Good.
really it. Yeah.
Good. Um, Another thing I want to just ask John is kind of what was it during the purchasing process?
Hmm.
Because again, you had purchased obviously multiple homes before that,
Hmm.
specifically on that first investment. What was it that was kind of unexpected that maybe came up when we first made the offer on the property, or when we first opened escrow, or maybe something that surprised you?
I didn't really have too many surprises because you walked me through the process really well, and I'd been through those processes before a few times. So I wouldn't say there are any surprises. I think with any purchase, there's going to be some last minute requests, perhaps on both sides. But I feel like those were easily navigated through. So I didn't really feel like there were any surprises at the 11th hour that we couldn't work through ultimately
All right.
together. Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, yeah.
So, again, it's a little bit of smooth sailing going back to that, but
Mhm.
obviously, I'm sure, um, there were a little bit of those stressful times, or even during the process and all the negotiations. Not that it was maybe a huge ordeal, but kind of those little things that you were like, ah.
Mhm.
So how did you kind of handle that personally during those negotiations, or those kind of hiccups or stressful times during that purchasing process?
Yeah, well, when it comes to price, and I look back at all four of these properties, I feel really good about the prices on all of them. And I know we did go back a few times with a few of the buyers or sellers rather, um, but I don't feel like there was a lot of arm wrestling because we came in with reasonable offers right out of the gate.
Hmm.
We didn't lowball them so much that we turned them off.
Hmm.
We didn't come in too high where it made me feel like I wasn't getting a good deal. I feel like there was a balance of both. And ultimately, I think that's why we got these properties. Uh, I remember the second property that we purchased on Belcanto in
Hmm.
Moreno Valley. I believe at that time that was 2019. I was very competitive then, and I think there was 10 or 12 offers on the table.
Yeah.
You encouraged me to write a letter to the seller, which I did. A heartfelt letter, which was genuine, and you talked through with the seller's agents, and we got the property. So you guided me really well uh, through the process, and when it came to price, I feel like it was fortunately pretty smooth.
Awesome. Good. Good. So now, kind of coming to the present,
Mhm.
um, it's been some time since you've purchased the first one, the second one, now the third one. Not even a year ago, uh, and then obviously the fourth one there out of state. Um, I guess what I want to ask is kind of what has all of this really done for you personally
Mhm.
on what you were or what you are moving forward, um, attempting to solve and accomplish by building that real estate portfolio and owning multiple investment properties.
Sure. Well, I think I don't think it really has given me a sense of financial security. These properties aren't paid down by any stretch at this point, but with the positive cash flow that I'm making, I'm going to start paying off the loans pretty quickly. And it's not going to be 30 years, it's going to be a lot sooner than that. And I plan on, purchasing more properties again so I can have the financial security and so that I can retire early. I don't want to
Right.
retire at 65. It'd be great to retire in my 50s.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted financial security because it wasn't always there for me.
Okay.
And um, it's uh, it's really a good feeling to have, and even though I've invested so much and the positive cash flow is good, I I just have that need for more,
Hmm.
because I as long as they're the right investments,
Right.
I feel like, you know, as long as business for me continues to be well as good, I feel like I've just tapped into the investment market, and I hope that I can retire maybe sooner than late 50s,
Yeah.
um, because that's really my goal. And they've just been they've just been really smart investments, and um, never want to have to really struggle during my retirement, and or struggle now, and so I have my 401k, and I have some other smaller investments, but real estate's where I'm hedging my bets. And if history is any tale, real estate has proven to be a really great long-term investment. So I feel like I've made the right decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So if if you were kind of to jump in a time machine, right,
Mhm.
and kind of zip back and talk to yourself before, um, specifically using our real estate team and everyone else and buying that first investment, what do you think that you would tell yourself to do?
I don't think I would tell myself to do anything differently because I'm totally pleased with where I am at now with all the properties, even the one that's not built yet. And with the equity that I built. I don't think it could have worked out any better, to be honest with you. I feel good about the purchase prices. I have great long-term tenants. The repairs, generally speaking, have been pretty minimal over the last 5 years. So, if I could go back in time, I'd do some other things differently, not investment related, but as far as the homes go, I wouldn't do anything different. Yeah,
Good, fantastic.
yeah.
So, kind of overall, what is the story that maybe you would tell someone if they themselves were just starting to get their feet wet, starting to look at buying their first investment property as far as today?
Yeah, boy. Well, I would say you need to get into real estate in any way, shape, or form if you haven't already. Certainly buy a home to live in and not pay rent to an apartment complex.
Hmm.
You got to start building some equity of your own. But if you are fortunate enough to live in your own home and buy an additional property, I say do it. But don't do it just because you want to do it. Do
Right.
it intelligently.
Exactly.
Hook up with Tyler and his team, and let him do the analytics and let him sniff out the best deal for you, because he will, like he did for me across 4 different properties, and start that way. And it doesn't have to be a 6 bedroom 10,000 square foot house. It can be a condo. It could be a 1 bedroom 1 bath. You can start as small as that. In fact, I know someone that has made a lot of wealth starting that way, buying condos and smaller properties. So, don't let it intimidate you. If you have the means to do it, I feel like it's a more sound investment and stable investment than throwing your money in stocks or God forbid Bitcoin,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
we know where that has ended up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Um, all right. Well, just lastly,
yeah.
just want to ask: is there anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so. I just would want to say thank you to you and your team, and everyone that you put me in contact with. And I'm gonna get all misty here, thinking about this, but I'm really in such a great place financially because of these investments. And I do want to purchase more and build upon this. But even if I wasn't able to, say tomorrow, I would be totally content. And there's a lot to be said for financial stability. And this is putting me on the path to be stable, as I grow old. So, all right.
Really, really appreciate it.
Yep, my pleasure.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right, you got it.
Bye bye.
See ya.